So good morning, everyone. So I'm Kurtis Lindqvist. I'm the CEO of LINX. Yesterday, when Fredrik from Amazon spoke, he said he was the second fastest Swedish speaker in here. Now, I think he meant a Swedish speaker, not Swede, as he said, because Åland hasn't been Swedish since 1809. So I think he might have got that wrong. But I suspect I was the one he referred to. I'm going to try and not speak so fast. But anyway, so I'm going to start with the CEO update and go through the results of the membership survey, and then Peter Knuckart Scheer is going to come up towards the end and give a little bit of an update on some governance changes. So, just some statistics. We this week during the England game hit a new peak traffic record, which is fantastic, you know, and we've seen quite a bit of growth. I'm going to show some more of this on the next slide. We are now past 50 terabit of connected capacity across all the exchanges, so that's been quite a bit of growth this year. We are seeing a healthy income of new membership applications, maybe not as many as last year, but still we're seeing quite a healthy growth in new members coming in as well. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to so this is the growth from the last meeting. So this is since, the last LINX meeting. So this is since May, not since August, where we're seeing quite a bit of growth of networks across all the exchanges, and that's obviously we're quite happy about that. So it keeps growing. We're seeing a number of traffic peaks. As I said, one was earlier this week for the England game. We've seen new peaks in Manchester, Jeddah, and we're also seeing that Jeddah is competing for the second top, I should say, not the top. That's the second largest IXP in the region. So we're clearly seeing some growth there as well, which we're very pleased with. The other thing that might be more interesting, as you know, that from 1st of January, we changed widened, I would say, the services we provide, so that you can now consume peering services over a physical port, and those peering services can be of different speeds. And we have seen quite a bit of an uptake on the 1 gigabit services over 10 gig, 2 gigabit over 10 gig, and 5 gig over 10, 5 gigabit over 10 gig, as well as 30 gigabit over 100 gig. And the reason we added these was to provide a smoother, if you want, upgrade path for networks, and it's pretty clear that this has been picked up. So we have almost 50 networks in a 2 gigabit service, 20 on 5 and 24 on 30 gigabits, so that's growing quite well. Since January 1st, we have seen 28% of all physical 1 gig ports migrate over to 1 gig services over 10 gig. So that's also quite a bit of shift in this. And I think from a exchange point of view, of course, it's beneficial to have this on the 10 gig ports over on the physical 1 gig ports. So that migration is happening quite well. One thing I didn't, because I skipped on the first slide, we're also seeing quite a bit of uptake on 400 gig. It said there was 2 ports are already live, and I was about to say that I think there is 3 or 4 more in provisioning, but I think yesterday someone already said who that member is. So we're clearly seeing quite a bit of interest in the 400 gig services, and we expect more for next year. So it's quite an interesting growth and shift in that as well. Since May, we have seen some staff changes. We have seen some staff leave and some staff join, and there is still some vacancies, although we haven't. They've been actually vacant for quite a long time. So that's where we are in the staff position. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's quite a few of them. I think some of you will have met some of the new staff who are here yesterday. I think someone might have been here today as well. In August, I talked in quite length about LINX Nairobi. Actually, it was the only thing I talked about. So just an update on where we are with that. We're still waiting for the license application to get approved. We have the first network has already applied to join, even though we don't have the license. And we know that there's quite a lot of interest in this, and networks waiting to join. And in parallel with this, we work on the logistics for getting this deployed into Nairobi. So that's going along, but before we have the license, we can't operate. So that's where we are at the moment. And I want to flag a change that will happen from January 1st regarding billing. It's not necessarily a very substantial change, but just so everybody's aware, we'll send this to the mailing list as well. But in the past, if you changed a service in the middle of a quarter, you didn't get invoiced the difference, if you want, until the following quarterly billing run. This will now change, and you'll actually get this invoiced in the month. The reason for this is, one, we think it's better for you to know what you actually owe us, if you want, if you have done an upgrade. If you've done a downgrade, it works the other way, of course. But also, it has meant that we have not always been aware of where we are in a financial position. We don't want to be waiting for those catch-up months to actually have this acknowledging the billing and the financials. I think this is a change for the better for both members and us, and it's probably how all other services I consume work. So I think this is probably more standardizing it than it used to be in the past. And on, just want to mention that we also actually, I think we presented this before, LINX has 2 certifications or compliance certifications. One is that we're 27001 certified, and the other one is the FSQS registration. The FSQS we renew when it comes up, and we continue to be compliant. On ISO 27001, you get well, we do a re-audit every 3 years, but in between you get a compliance review, and they do 1/3 per year, and we have just done that cycle and passed. So, well, you don't really pass it, but you don't get the major non-conformities. So that's very good for us from that point of view. So that was all I'm going to talk about from the CEO update, because my colleagues will cover most of the other details. They're very good at this, so it makes my presentation shorter and shorter. But we then had the membership survey that I wanted to talk about. So this is a survey we run once a year. It's a number of questions that we ask you to fill in on our performance. As you saw yesterday when Anne presented the operational update, we have also this year started asking for your feedback when you close tickets. Anne showed the feedback on this from the NOC queue, the support queue. We also do this for anything in interact with finance or with the sales team. So we do, you have the chance to provide us feedback on how you think this was. The senior management team does actually review these graphs monthly, and I personally actually also read through all the feedback that goes into the written feedback. So I think we all look at that and we all take it on board and use that to help us improve service or also know when we do a good job. I actually, as Anne pointed out yesterday, most of the feedback we get is actually overwhelmingly positive, which is great and shows us that we are on the right track. And when there are negative feedback, we do take that on board as well. So that's in complement to the membership survey. So on to the membership survey. This year, slightly disappointingly, we had a bit of a drop in response rates. There could be a number of reasons for this. Everything from that this ran through the holiday period. We think that more people might have gone on holiday this year for the first time in 2 years than they might have done otherwise. We also got some feedback that members thought everything is fine and didn't want to fill it in, and a whole range of other reasons. Was slightly shorter time period than usual. That might also have played in, but in general, it dropped a bit, which is not something we really wanted to do. It is quite a long survey to fill in, and I think we're going to try and rethink the survey for next year to see if there's ways we could improve response rates and the feedback on this. So, on the feedback there on the whole, the members that responded, overwhelmingly the trend is that they believe the LINX is improving over time, and that's obviously great news for us, and they stay the same as going down, so clearly there's a trend towards improvement. There is a very high net promoter score. We have very high level of promoters. This is so the net promoter score was 69 versus 67 last year, 67 the year before, and 50 in 2019. So this has also been in a continuous upward trajectory. I think I probably shouldn't say for that what the industry average is, but it's way below this anyway. So we're clearly quite higher than that. So there's also a question: is what do we? How can we provide more value? Perhaps not so surprisingly, the number one topic is price reductions. I think that's been the number top for any year we've done the survey. And I think if you ask in any industry, if you ask what customers want most, they want it cheaper. We obviously we're aware of this, and as you know, we have always tried to reduce prices as we can over time. And Malcolm talked about this yesterday in the budget presentation. So we're doing some limited price reductions this year, but given the current economic circumstances, we're also being very conservative against the budget in general. And then there is the peering reach, which I guess is the number of networks and a wider range of networks present, new products and LINX tooling, and then it goes on to events, remote peering, learning about LINX, supporting new members, and concentrating in the UK, which is the last one. But those are the ideas that we have, those are the asks that we get. And we take this on board. There's also some written comments that goes with this that we take on board and we study and try to involve in how we develop and evolve the LINX services. How well LINX meet your interconnection needs? This is fairly static. It has dropped a tiny bit, but I think that's within the statistical error margin and remains very high in general. LINX competence in order of importance. The stability of the exchange platform scores highest. I think it always does that. Followed by ease of doing business with, which is the next important, but also weirdly enough at the same time also has the lowest score. So there's clearly more improvement we could do there, or at least we can analyze this a bit further. And then the others are fairly balanced, except the responsiveness to member requests, perhaps, where we can look at, which is a bit also contradicting towards the ease of doing business with. So I think we need to try and understand exactly that balance a bit. If we look at this over time, the one that has dropped is the good value. It's gone, if you want, it's gone more down to what it's been in previous years. Last year, they scored very high, and ease of doing business with, etc., stayed quite same. Responsibility to members' requests has gone up, slight dip over year on year, slight dip from last year. Engineering competence has improved back to what it was, and stability has remained fairly similar to this. And then there's a new question for this year, which is the communication with members, which is again fairly high actually. Rate of contact with NOC has been very static and also remains very high. So it's clearly well received how the NOC operates and what they do. And this is something we see in the response we get from the tickets and the feedback we get instantly after members close the interaction with the NOC as well. And how many have been in contact? I think they're doing a great job. This keeps improving. Again, I think that's a great testament to the NOC and what they do. So very happy. I think we're very pleased about that. We also ask what the indication of growth is from what the members plan to order, and this is always very interesting to track. So, and here again we can see the 400 gig is clearly peaking up quite a bit from something that was very low last year. I don't have a comparison year on year. The other ones are fairly similar to what they've been in the past years, but the growth in 400 gig service is quite remarkable. So before I let Peter on, I'm going to stop there and ask if there's any questions from my section on this and what I presented so far. No? Okay. Very good. Then I'm going to let Peter come up and do the governance, 2 governance changes.